Okay, so today we're going to continue where we left off with the Gemara on Pezayin and Beis. We're discussing the case where a husband paid back a portion of the ksuba, or so he says, and he has Eidim to prove that he paid back half. However, he claims he paid back the full amount, and he doesn't have Eidim on the second half. The woman obviously agrees, his wife, his ex-wife, agrees that he paid back the first half, the one that the Eidim are claiming. However, she says he did not pay back the second half of the ksuba. Says the Gemara, Pezayinam Beis, Ibailu, Pogems Kesubos be'Eidim. If the man paid back a portion of the ksuba with Eidim, however, he doesn't have Eidim on the second half of the ksuba, Mahu. Im isi the para be'Eidim, have a parala. If he would have the para, but Eidim have a parala. If he would have paid back the second half of the ksuba, should have Eidim on that as well. Odilma isru'ume isra'mi lei. Or perhaps it happened that he had Eidim for that first half of the ksuba, but he didn't have Eidim around when he paid back the second half of the ksuba. And since he didn't have Eidim around, therefore, he didn't pay back with Eidim. However, it's not an indication, the fact that he doesn't have Eidim, it does not indicate that he did not pay back the second half of the ksuba as well. Toshma, let's bring a proof in the following brayse. Everyone who takes a shavua minatera is taking a shavua in order to exempt themselves from payment. However, these are the cases of people that take a shavua in order to collect payment. What are they? Has-sochir, somebody who worked for a day, he's a day worker and he wants his wages. Has-sochir, and he claims that he did not get paid, and the maschir says he already paid him. The hanigzal, somebody who was stolen from. In other words, Eidim saw that he came into the house, and they said to him, Ra'u shenichnas, Rashi says, Ra'u shenichnas b'beiso, Amarlo tainli kelai shenatalti, woman lo natalti. Give me, the Eidim saw that he entered the house, and the Baal Bayis says, give me back that what you took from me. And he says, I didn't take anything from him. And Eidim saw him leave the house with Caleb underneath. They didn't see the act of stealing, so they can't come and say he stole. However, they did see circumstantial evidence indicating that he stole, and therefore they demand that he pays back. In such a case, the Nigzal takes a shavu and he's able to exact the payment. Va'nichbal, again, they saw a man go into the house, and then they saw the same man leave wounded, but they didn't see the act of Chabal itself. Or you have two people that come to court, Reuben and Shimon. Reuben demands payment from Shimon, and Shimon says, I don't owe you anything. He's kofer bakol. In such a case, however, Shimon is a suspecting person. He's a shady individual. It's not clear that we're going to trust his shavua even if he takes his shavua. So therefore, in such a circumstance, we flip it around. Shikanegdo, the opposite, the one demanding payment, the Tovea, has to take a shavua and then he can collect. So here you have a store owner that the Balabais trusts. He hires a bunch of workers. And he says, go get lunch from the store owner, and I'll pay back the store owner. Balabais comes to the store owner and says, I gave them lunch. Pay me for what I gave them. I'm demanding payment for that which I gave your workers. The workers come and say, we didn't get anything. So in such a case, the workers take a shavua and they get their lunch. They get paid from the chedvani. And the chedvani takes a shavua, and and exacts payment from the Baal Habayis. Va'pogem shtaro shelo be'edim. And similarly, case of our Mishnah, somebody who is pogem shtaro, he began when he was pogem shtaro. The case was where he paid back a portion of the shvar without edim. Says the Gemara from this brayso, shelo be'edim in be'edim lo. That indicates that specifically in a case where he paid back without edim, with the balabais, the husband paid back the wife without edim. In such a case, the woman can come and take a shavua and demand payment for the remainder, at least, or the whole thing. However, the edim, but if it would be edim that he paid back half, then she would not take a shavua on the rest. Indicating what? Indicating the fact that he had edim on half. So we say, it happened that he had edim there. And the fact that he doesn't have edim on the other half doesn't indicate anything, does not indicate that he did not pay it back. It just means he didn't have edim. Says the Gemara, lo. That's not a valid indication. You can't make that diak from the price. So not only a pogim ksuvaso shelo be'edim is the woman going to take a shvu and collect the rest, but even pogim ksuvaso be'edim, she'll still take a shvu and collect the rest. Lo mi bai ka'amar. Lo mi bai be'edim. I don't need to tell you be'edim devadi tzricha shvu. She definitely needs to take a shvu on the second half to collect anything. But if she doesn't have any edim, if the husband doesn't have any edim that he paid her back anything, and she agrees and admits that half of it was paid back, and she's only demanding the second half, let us say, I will tell you that she's like a meishav aveda. She's returning lost object. She's allowing him to get off of half of the payment. And she will then collect without a shvuah. Kemash Malan. So it says the Brisa come to teach you in such a case, Kemash Malan, that she needs to still take a shavua in order to collect the second half. Ibailu. Apogemus Kesubos Pachais Mishav. He pays back little by little. He pays her a little bit less than each time, less than a shavu pruta, but it adds up. It adds up. You get 5 cents, 5 cents, 5 cents, 5 cents. A bunch of 5 cents is each $1, right? So it adds up. Mao. So what do we say? Me, I'm reading. Give the daika kule hai kushtaka amra. Do we say since she was so careful that she each time took less than a shava pruta, and she knows it. Therefore, she's telling the truth. She's telling the truth, and therefore she should not need to take a shavua. Oh, Dilma, or we say, no. She's being so careful because you know what? She is tricking. She's tricking the whole time. She's just tricking everyone. Says the Gemara, Teku. Ibailu. What about a case where she says, you don't owe me so much? He says the ksuba, I owe you the ksuba. And I paid. I'm sorry. He says I paid you back the ksuba. The ksuba was worth $1,000, and I paid you back 1,000. She says no. First of all, you didn't pay me anything. But second of all, ksuba was only worth 100. So she's, in other words, demanding payment, but on a significant less value than he claimed that the ksuba was lechatchila. Says the Gemara. Do we say that's the same exact case as pogemes? Or dilma pogemes? Or do we say when she receives some of it, and she agrees, he says, I don't owe you anything. So no, you owe me some. Then she's modeh b'miksa. She's agreeing that he paid back some, and she's saying he still owes some. So therefore, we require a shavua. But here she's saying he didn't pay me back anything. He only owed me a little bit, but she's not agreeing that he paid back anything, and therefore we should say that she does not take a shavua. It's not similar to pogemes. Toshma. We have a brayso that says in the case of Bekius, she pays back. She gets her payment without a shavua. Ketzad. Paisa ksubasa 1,000 zuz. Her ksuba was originally 1,000 zuz. The Amar law, and he says to her, "It's about kusubasich." He says, "You got it all. $1,000. Here's the 1,000. I paid you everything." And she says, "No, I didn't get anything." Not only that, Ellman, and it was only worth 100 in the first place. So in such a case, she gets paid without a shvuah. She gets paid with that. So we have a clear indication in the case of Cheses that she does not have to take a shvu in order to get paid back. B'mai govya. So how is she goive the money? How does she collect at the end of the day? She doesn't have a shvar. The shtar says 1,000, and she's only getting 100. So you can't say she gets 100 with the shtar that says 1,000. The shtar is worthless. Says the Gemara, Amar Rava Brea de Rabba Baimeres Amana Isali Beno Libano. I agree with you that the shtar was worth 1,000. We had an agreement between the two of us. He wanted to make it look like he was giving me a shtar of 1,000, a ksuba of 1,000, even though I trusted him that he was only going to pay back 100. And he trusted me that I was only going to demand 100. So therefore, we had an agreement that we're going to write a shtar for 1,000, even though in actuality, he only owed me 100. So this shtar is still therefore valid in order to collect the 100, even though it says 1,000 on it. The Mishnah said a case where the husband comes with an eid echad, says, I paid you back your ksuba, and I have an eid echad to prove that. I have an eid echad proving he saw me pay it back. She says, I didn't get anything. So there she takes a shavua. Saba Rami Bar Chama Lemeimer. So Rabbi Chama said, this indicates shavua daraisa. This must be a shavua daraisa. Why? Because the Gemara is going to point out that normally Ruvain says, Shimon, you owe me $100, and I have an eid echad that says you owe me $100. So Shimon has to take a shavua daraisa in order to exempt himself from paying that $100. An eid echad cannot cause Shimon to pay, but an eid echad is strong enough in order to demand that Shimon take a shavua daraisa to exempt himself from paying. An eid echad can't come to court in order to demand, to prove that somebody did a veira for malchus or misa. So the cholav and the cholachatas would they come. Aval kamu l'shavua, he could come in order to demand a shavua. Any time that if Reuven would bring two edim and it would force Shimon to pay money, then if one eid echad comes, it now forces him. It forces Shimon to take a shavua. So it should be this case in the Mishnah should be a shavua daraisa. So Marava shtei shuvas v'davar. No, I have two answers. Chada. First of all, to call the nishman b'tayra nishman v'loy misham. Anytime we have a case in the Torah that a person takes a shavua, if it's a shavua daraisa, it's in order to get off. Here, the woman's taking a shavua in order to receive payment, in order to collect money. Can't be a shavua daraisa. Furthermore, in Ishba is when it tells no cases of shavua daraisa are deal with shivu karkos in case where there's a lien on property. Here, if he doesn't have the money to pay, she will collect from his property. So it's not a shavua daraisa. It's only a din. It's shavua derabanan. Why do the rabbanan require the woman to take a shavua when the husband brings an eid echad? In order to appease, to settle the baal, he'll be comfortable paying because she's willing to take a shavua. There's a big nafkamina, Rashi points out, between shavua daraisa and shavua derabanan. Shavua daraisa requires nikitas chayfetz, like to hold the sefer Torah. Shavua daraisa requires shame. Kinoi is shame. Requires a lot of things. They go say Hashem's name. Shavua derabanan, all it is a klala. It's just a curse. It's a lot less stringent. It's not as scary. So here, the woman gets off with only taking shavua derabanan. It's a lot less scary. Omar Rav Papa, Ipikeach says Rav Papa, hold on. If the husband would be wise, he could trick her in order to mechayev her shavua daraisa. Not only the rabbanan, but even her shavua daraisa. How would he do that? He'll bring 1 8 and he'll pay her a second time the full value of the ksuba. 200 a second time. And now you'll join together the 2 8. You have 1 8 that saw the original payment. Now you have a second aid that sees the second payment. They'll come together. And what will happen? They'll come together and they'll say, hey, lady, you already paid back. She now cannot deny that she was paid back because you have 2 8 that says she was paid back. But the husband paid her 400, paid her twice. He wants to get his money back for the first time he paid her. So on that payment, he has an eid echad. On that payment, he says, I lent you 200, I want it back. It became a milva. Now she doesn't want to pay him back because she says she never got it. So she said, I don't want to pay you back. She's koifer that she ever got that payment. She has to take shvur d'oraisa because he's got an eid echad on that. He has an eid echad on the first payment, and he has 2 eidim on the second payment. So memela she'll be chayv shvur d'oraisa for paying back the first payment. Is the chacham. Says the Gemara, Maskela Rabbi Shisha Brei Rav Chia, Brei Rav Idi. How could the second aid, the first aid, rely on the second aid? In other words, as Rashi points out, the first aid saw the first payment, the second aid saw the second payment. They didn't see her ever get paid back together. So therefore, they can't join together to say, hey, lady, you got paid back. Aid number 1 says, I saw her get paid back. I agree, but it was already 2 days ago. Aid number 2 says, I saw her get paid back today. They're not testifying about the same payment. So therefore, they can't come together to say she got paid back her full value. Rather says, Rav Shisha Brei Divi, you know what you do? Bring that, the Baal has his aid here that saw the original payment. Now he joins in a second aid, brings a second aid, or Rashi points out, we do no aidim, doesn't have to be the first aid. And there, 2 aidim now are going to see payment number 2. If they see payment number 2, what's going to happen to payment number 1? The first payment is going to become a loan. Now, husband says, give me back my loan that I gave you 200. I gave you 200 2 days ago. She says, no, you didn't. Says the husband, I have an eid echad that says I gave you 200. Now, you still agree you didn't? If you want to get off, says the husband, later you have to take a shvur d'oraisa. Now she has to take a shvur d'oraisa in order to exempt her because she has an eid echad against her. She could still say, I have 2 kesubos, big kesubos. I had 2 kesubos. One was in the kesuba from 2 days ago. And now you're paying me back for the second kesuba. It's not that you lent me the money. Ella, Omer Ravashi, it must be a case that before he paid her back the second time, he says, hey, lady, I'm now going to pay you back for that kesuba that you're demanding. The 1 kesuba that you have, you're demanding. You agree that this is the 1 kesuba you have, and I'm paying you back for that 1 kesuba. She says, yeah, of course. He pays her back for the 1 kesuba. Now he can require her to take a shavua d'oraisa for the money that he claims he gave her 2 days ago, and he has an echad against her. If she's coming to collect from nechasim mishubadim, i.e. from the lukuchos, the husband sold his property, he has no property to pay her ksuba, and now she's going to collect from the buyers, the lukuchos. She has to take a shvuah. The yisomim should only pay back with a shavua. Mimat, who's taking a shavua? They're taking a shvuah. Ilema milve miloive. If you're telling me they're paying back a loan to the malve that lent them money, lent the daddy money, hashto avin shaka below shvuah. I'm saying if they're paying from the buyer, from milova, from the borrower, if they're now their father would have been able to take it back without a shvuah. The lova can pay back a malva, doesn't have to take a shvuah. Now inu b'shvuah, and they have to take a shvuah. In other words, if their father would still be alive, the father would go and say, "Hey, Mr. Lova, borrower, pay me back, and he would not. The father would not have to take a shvuah to prove that the lova owes him money. So if the father doesn't have to take a shvuah, why should the yisomim have to take a shvuah? El hachikam. No, the Yisomim are collecting not from the Lova himself, but they're collecting from the Yisomim of the Lova, then they need a Shvuah. Amar of Zrika, Amar of Yehuda, Lo Yishanu, El Sha'amru Yisomim, that's only true in the Yisomim, Amar Lo Nu Abba. They come, they say, our father told us, Levisi Uparati. My father borrowed money, but he already paid it back. You want to collect the second time from us? You have to take shvuah. Well, Amro, but if the Yisomim, the defendants who are the money's being demanded from them, right? And they say, Amar lanu Abba lo levisi, I didn't borrow any money. Then the malva can't collect even with a shvur. You have to prove that I borrowed anything. Maskif lo Rabbo, adarabo. Pumpvaket, the exact opposite. Why? If the Yisomim say, our father Lola Visi, we didn't borrow any money, it's as if they say they didn't pay back yet. In other words, Malva comes and says, Lola, you owe me money. He says, I didn't borrow anything from you. Says the Malva, hold on, I have a shtar here. The shtar says you borrowed money from me. Now the Lola can't say I didn't pay back. You know why? The Lola can't say I paid back because he already said I didn't borrow. Obviously, anytime he says, he said I didn't pay anything back. Doesn't exist. I didn't pay anything back. So memela, the soimim, if they say our father told us he didn't borrow any money, and you now the malva can prove that his father did, their father did, so they have to pay back. Rather, it should be the exact opposite. It only should be true if the Yisomim say our father said he paid back. Well, Amru, but if they say then if they say our father never borrowed and therefore he never paid back, even though you think you can prove that he did borrow, then guess what? The Malva can collect without a shavua at all. We'll end with that tonight. Shkech kol tuv.